welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome, glad you're here, hope you stay. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I picked up during the Sephora VIB sale, as well as my experiences from then until now with those products. I have a couple of repurchases, but it's mostly brand new items to me or brand new to my collection. I will have everything listed down below, as well as detailed timestamps in case you wanted to skip ahead. And now that all that's out of the way, let's get into the video. My first repurchase that I'm going to talk about is the Inkey Peptide Moisturizer. If you've been around my channel for a little while, you'll know how much I love this peptide cream. I think it's amazing. It's hydrating. I use it in the morning and at night. I go through this a couple of times a year, so I do always have one on hand as a backup. This one is my backup. I currently have one open that I'm working through right now. In terms of prices and brands at Sephora, this is actually really affordable. This is one item I usually tend to pick up during the Sephora VIB sale, even if I don't necessarily need a backup of it at the time because I go through it so frequently. I have noticed that there are times where it does sell out at Sephora, so I do try to make sure I always have one on hand, because the one time that I was in between stock of this product, my face was very unhappy. So if you're someone who's looking for a peptide cream, especially one that's similar to Protini, this is exactly what you're looking for. It's lightweight, it's fast absorbing, it's not greasy, it wears well underneath makeup, it just works really well. I have not had any issues with it, and I've been using it for years at this point, and I have yet to find anything that can replace this. My second repurchase is the Summer Friday Summer Skin Nourishing Body Lotion. I went through my first tube of this so quickly that between when I bought it on the Summer Fridays website and when it was 20% off at Sephora, I had pretty much emptied my first bottle, and that was like a span of 2 weeks. I went through that so quickly. This is probably my favorite body lotion that I've ever used. I think I say that pretty frequently about body lotions, but this one really is stand out amongst the other ones that I've been using. This one, the scent is just really nice. To me, the scent smells exactly like summer. It puts me in a really nice summer mindset. It's been cold and rainy where I live in Chicago these last couple of days, and having that scent that kind of like sends me on a Hawaiian vacation or a beach vacation is very nice right now. But when I am using this cream, it's very nourishing, very hydrating. I notice that my skin feels very soft. I love the way that it feels when I wake up in the morning. I do run through this pretty quickly because I do overuse it, but I have noticed that on dry patches it does take significantly more product to use to get those places less dry or more hydrated. If you have especially dry skin all over your body, this cream may not be for you. My last kind of repurchase is the Inkey Niacinamide. I usually use the Good Molecules niacinamide, but I am just about out of the bottle that I'm using, and since the VIB sale was going on, I just decided to get the Inkey niacinamide. But now that I'm sitting here filming this video, Good Molecules is now available at Ulta, and had I known they were going to be at Ulta, I very likely wouldn't have picked up this bottle, and I would have just stuck with Good Molecules because I know that I really enjoy that formula. It does have really good reviews, so I am looking forward to trying this one, but if you're looking for a niacinamide, I can highly recommend the Good Molecules one. That one works really well, especially paired with the Inkey Peptide Moisturizer. Everything else that I picked up during the sale is makeup, so I'm just going to talk about them in order that I would apply them to my face. Starting with the Supergoop Glow Sunscreen SPF 40. I had no idea that this was such a hot item because I was just looking for something I could wear underneath makeup. I had finished off my Volition Beauty Prismatic SPF, and I am just about done with my Beauty Bio, the Perfector SPF, which is my favorite SPF, but it's so expensive. But I was looking for something that was going to be similar to the Beauty Bio Perfector, and when I was looking at the ingredients list and reading reviews about the Supergoop Glow Screen, it seemed like this was going to be the most similar to that one. And then after everyone started doing their haul videos, it was like everyone picked this up. I have not used this yet. I have swatched it, and I'm excited to try it out when I get there. But between when I ordered this and when I actually got it in the mail, I was sent SPF from a different brand that I've been using instead. So I don't like having too many SPFs in rotation at once. I like to keep them around for as long as possible. So this one is at the bottom of the rotation, unfortunately, but it does swatch promisingly. But as for practical use, I do not know yet. I picked up 2 foundations. The first foundation I picked up is the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation in the shade LP4. I had wanted this when it first launched at Sephora, but my shade sold out so quickly, and then it came back in stock right around the time that the sale hit, so I was like, absolutely, I want to try this out. But I honestly have not seen anyone talk about this. Between the first 2 times that I filmed this video and now, I've seen 3 people talk about this. Raw Beauty Christy posted her video last night at the time that I'm filming, and I watched that this morning, and Makeup by Cheryl mentioned it in a video that I just watched, but she posted her video back in February. And I know that I've seen one other person talk about this foundation, but other than that, I've seen absolutely nothing about this foundation, which I think is so interesting because it was sold out for so long that I would have thought that someone would talk about it. I haven't even seen people talk about this on Instagram. So if you've tried this, can you let me know what you think of it down below, because I am pretty on the fence about it. I've used it a couple of times, and I think that it's okay. There's nothing super unique or magical about this foundation. It's not something that I would recommend over other things that I have. Another foundation that I think is similar to this that I would recommend above this is the Rare Beauty foundation, which just like this one is a serum foundation with medium coverage. And I don't know if it's because I like the Rare Beauty one so much that this one just doesn't compare because they're so similar, but I'm just not super interested in this foundation now that I have it and can wear it. I liked the packaging to begin with. I think that the triangle is a cute design. I think it's different looking than the other foundations that I have. I really liked the original packaging that it came in with the white and the pink and the little triangle cutouts. What I've noticed about this foundation is that because of its triangular shape, it cannot lay flat in my drawer. So I have a foundation drawer on my desk, on my filming desk, or on my vanity, if you want to call it that, where I have all of my foundations laid out. And this, because of its shape, cannot fit. It pretty much just has to stand up now on the vanity or on my desk because it does not play nicely with others. I guess there's a way that I could just lay it on one side. It just doesn't fit nicely, but I do think that there must have been some thought behind the packaging and that it always has to be left out. And if you're one of those people who just uses what they have in their eye line, then you're always going to use this foundation, which I'm okay with. That's my kind of sneaky right there. As it stands right now, I'm not overly impressed with this foundation. The second foundation that I picked up is the Makeup Forever Watertone, and I have the shade R230. I bought this one because I really liked the Reboot foundation, but it was so fragrant that I ended up passing that one along. And when this one came out and I saw it, I was like, I absolutely have to have it. And then I got it, and it's probably even more fragranced than the Reboot foundation. So that was pretty disappointing on my part. I should have looked into that a little bit more before I just blind bought this. R230 was not my best shade match in the Reboot foundation, and it's certainly not my best match in the Watertone foundation, but since it's so sheer, I think I can get away with wearing it. It's a little bit light for me, especially because right now I have a little bit of a tan going on, but in my fairer state, my original state, if you will, it works pretty okay, but the other shades just don't seem to match. I really miss shade matching in stores. I wish there was an easier way because pictures are not doing it for me anymore. Formula-wise, this is amazing. I wasn't that impressed the first time that I used it, but the first time I used it, I went in blindly, not knowing anything about the foundation or what its claims were or anything like that. So when I put it on and it was sheer like Glossier, I was like, this is just Glossier skin tint with a lot of fragrance. What is this? So then as I continued to use it though, I think that this is not like Glossier Skin Tint, but it's actually very similar to the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body Radiant Sheer Foundation. I have been using the MAC Face and Body for longer than I've been using the Watertone, but so far the two perform super similarly. They have the same kind of coverage levels, but where they are the most similar is the effect it gives on the skin. So if you've used Face and Body, you know that there's just something about it when you're putting it in between your fingers and you're rubbing it on your face, it just becomes very second skin-like and very filtering, and that's what this one does. It doesn't have that same finishing texture, that mask-like texture, but it does still have that filtered effect. So when I've worn this, I honestly feel like I'm just walking around with one of those smoothing Instagram filters on my face all day long. So this very quickly has become one of my most reached for foundations because it gives me the exact kind of coverage that I'm looking for. I don't know if I'd even say it's light coverage, but it's between sheer and light coverage. So everything, my skin still shows through, but my texture is gone, my pores are gone. I just look like I have perfected skin. It's so interesting. Anyway, highly recommend this foundation. If you are someone who's been looking at it and you're on the fence about it, I definitely think it's worth checking out. But if you're someone who doesn't like fragrance, this is one of the most heavily fragranced foundations I've ever had the pleasure of using. The next product I'm going to talk about was actually one that I talked myself out of buying. I didn't buy it during my first order, but I did buy it during my second order. What I'm talking about is the Melt Cream Blushlight in the shade Lynx. I had talked myself out of it during my first order because I already have two. I already have Honey Thief and Golden Hour. I bought these two shades during the original launch on Melt's website. Here's the thing about buying Melt cosmetics. Don't buy Melt anywhere but from at Melt's website. And what I mean by that is that Melt has the best sales. Melt runs 30% off, 50% off. When I filmed this video the first time, they were running up to 60% off sale. So buying Melt at any retailer that's not Melt just doesn't make sense because you're going to spend a lot of money you don't have to spend. A lot of my makeup collection is from Melt solely due to the fact that they have ridiculously good sales. So Melt pretty much runs my entire makeup collection. But when the sale rolled around, I just couldn't say no. There are still 2 more shades that I want to pick up, and there's only 8 shades that were released. So honestly, I should have just bought the whole kit that had all of the shades because this is a formula that I see myself getting a lot of use out of. The shade range are shades that I see myself getting a lot of use out of. So I am definitely going to have to be restrained from picking up any more of these because I don't need more, but I want more. The next 2 products go hand in hand, and those are the Patrick Ta Contour Brush and the Patrick Ta, let me get the name right, Cream Contour Powder and Bronzer Duo. I have the shade She's Statuesque. I have not put down either of these products since I got it. Before I get into the Contour Bronzer Duo, let me just tell you, this brush is amazing. I don't even know where to start, honestly, because I just want you to buy the brush. I feel like I don't have to give you an explanation for why you need the brush. I feel like you just need to take my word for it and place an order immediately because this is a brush that everyone should have in their collection. I don't know if it's the most unique brush. It's unique to my collection, and I don't remember seeing anything close to this shape prior to it being released, but since then I've started to see things. But maybe it's that term, and I can't think of it right now, where once you see something, it starts popping up everywhere else around you. You just hadn't noticed it before. So this brush is really densely packed, but it's so thin that it fits perfectly into the contours of the face. And if you're someone who struggles with contour or bronzer placement, if you are someone who wants to just have a foolproof application, this is exactly the tool you are looking for. This tool will literally enhance your life. This will make your makeup application so much easier. You'll love your makeup more. I promise if you pick up this brush, you will love it. Because honestly, all you do is push it in to your contour or your bronzer. I've used it with cream formulas and the powder formula. It works great with both formulations, and this works across brands and formulas. It's not something that you can only strictly use with Patrick Ta's formula. So all you do is you just tap it in and you stamp it on your face. You can blend, it is blendable, but all you do is just tap it in, and in conjunction with the She's Statuesque shade, it's just very natural. It does not take much blending. Any effort that you need to make is entirely minimal. The brush does all of the work. As for the bronzer contour duo, I really love the contour shade. I think this is one of the most natural looking contours. It's the perfect neutral, cool leaning contour that I've used. It works so well for my skin tone as a natural contour. If you're someone who wants a very defined contour, this is not for you. This is very natural. It's slightly buildable, but it's not buildable enough that you're going to get an overly snatched face. This is not something that's going to give you sharp cheekbones. Even like today for the makeup I'm wearing, this was not cool enough to contour my jawline. I needed to use a different contour to get what I was looking for on my jaw, but this is the contour that I'm wearing on my face, my nose, and my forehead. This is a product that will enhance your features, but it's not going to give you any kind of drastic transformation like some other products might. So all of that is about the contour. I love the contour. If the contour were available as a single or as a refill or individually or whatever, I would buy that in a heartbeat. I would repurchase it. I would always keep it on hand. This is something I've already made a pretty big dent in. I really like the contour. I'm not a big fan of the bronzer, and I'm not sure if the hard pan will show up again on camera. I might have to take a picture of it, but it's already forming a hard pan layer, and I don't think that this bronzer is a good shade for me. It does pull a bit too orange. So once I finish the contour, I won't have any need for this palette, which is why I said if it were offered in refills or as individuals, then I would absolutely repurchase. If you're someone who's looking to purchase the cream bronzer duo, what I recommend is trying to decide if you want both shades or if you want one shade. The contour shade is really nice and it's really easy to work with. One formula that I think is very comparable is the Salt New York contour shade. Recently, she renamed it to the shade Taupe. The product itself is very similar in that the formula is easy to work with, in that it's very much a natural shadow shade. It's buildable. It really does a good job at enhancing your features. Again, it's not really a defining shade from Salt, but it is something that you can use to form out your cheeks nicely. If you're only looking for the contour shade, definitely I recommend checking out Salt New York's Taupe shade instead. If you think you're going to use both shades, I highly recommend checking this palette out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The formula is really good. It's long lasting. It applies really easily. It goes on sheer, very buildable. The bronzer itself, if it wasn't orange, would be a really nice color. There's really nothing bad to say about the compact. I just personally won't get much use out of the bronzer and think that if you're like me and you won't get use out of the bronzer, that Salt New York has a shade that is very similar to this contour shade that you might be interested in checking out. The end. The next thing that I picked up is the Rare Beauty Eye Primer. I am not really an eye primer person, but when I saw Rare Beauty was coming out with an eye primer, it made my lizard brain go crazy. I absolutely had to have this. I bought it the day it was launched. I think I even set an alarm for midnight, like this was going to sell out. But I needed to have it, and that was all there was. I had no thought process whatsoever behind it. I just had to have this eye primer. And now that I have it, I don't know why I wanted it so badly. I have no idea. There is no rational explanation that I can give you as to why I needed to have this or why I was so excited about an eye primer. I've used MAC Painterly Paint Pot as my only eye primer for years, but something about this just really caught my eye, I guess. My experience with the eye primer so far has been fine. I don't think it's better than the Painterly Paint Pot. I don't see myself repurchasing this once it's finished. I am using it as my eye primer right now when I'm doing my makeup because I want to finish the tube up. I don't think it's one that I would outright recommend to anyone if they asked for an eye primer. I think it's okay. If you were to have purchased it, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad product. I just think there are better products out there. When I'm applying this to my eyelids, it does not cover all of my discoloration or my veins, so it's not as opaque as the Painterly Paint Pot. I also think that it's quite thin. There are some days where I'm using it and I've had to put 2 layers down because it's just so thin that it doesn't seem like it's applying. It seems like it's almost applying patchy, I guess is the way to phrase it, because there are days that I'm putting it down and I would think that it's enough product, but then when I'm actually looking at it, it looks like there's just patches of skin that didn't get covered. So then I'll have to go in with an additional layer. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I think that this does really well with basic, minimal eyeshadow looks. I have noticed some creasing, not a lot of creasing, but some creasing. But what I've noticed I have the hardest time with this eye primer is balding or bald patches. I will have entirely bald patches in my crease where shadow just will not stick. It doesn't matter if I set the primer, it doesn't matter what formula I'm using. There is just something about it when I use this eye primer that I get a bald patch right in my crease. And I've noticed in a few other videos that people are using the eye primer that they're getting the same bald patches on their eyelids in the same spots. So I do think it has more to do with the formula than my application techniques, because other people seem to be having the same issues, even if they're not telling you that. Going back to how I think that this is more for basic eyeshadow looks, I just don't think that it has the staying power. I don't think that the formula itself is strong enough to withhold multiple layers or textures of shadows. I think that when I've done looks using one eyeshadow or using like one shadow on the lid and then like 2 in the crease, or one on the lid, 1 in the crease, 1 in the outer corner, I think it looks okay. I don't think that you notice the downsides of the primer when you're not putting a lot of product on, but this is not something I would use to prime my eyes if I were going to an event. If I had somewhere to be and my eyeshadow I wanted to look really nice, this is not something that I would use. So during the Sephora sale, Sephora collection items were 30% off instead of 20% off. I'm saying 20% off because I was able to get the 20% off discount for being Rouge, but I am aware that there are other discount tiers of 10 and 15%. Anyway, I bought one Sephora collection item, and that is the Sephora Caffeine Please eyeshadow palette. This was originally $10, but at 30% off, it is $7. And at $10, I would not buy it, but at $7, I sure bought it. The only reason that I wanted this eyeshadow palette is because it has coffee on it. That is it. I am not interested in the eyeshadows. I am not interested in the color story or the shades that are offered within this palette. I only want the coffee cup packaging. I think the packaging is just right up my alley. I'm very excited to have it, very excited to look at it, and that is it. What I do like about the palette is that it has these little pictorials down here to show you how to do your eyeshadow. I think that's really nice. I think it's a good use of space considering how the packaging is. I think that's really nice. I personally think that for me, I would enjoy this palette more if there was just a teeny tiny little mirror. And I only say that because if I were a traveling person, this is something that I think I would get good use out of. This is an easy to travel with, little compact, good, strong magnet closure. It's cute. You can make a couple of different looks out of this. Not a ton of different looks, but there's a couple of ways you can go with these tones. So I think that this is something that I would have traveled with if I were a traveler, and a mirror would have enhanced the use of this palette. I understand why there's not a mirror in this palette, but I think that I personally would get more use out of it if there were a mirror. My critique of the eyeshadow formula. My feelings of the eyeshadows themselves are kind of indifferent. So you've got a couple of matte shades and then you've got 2 shimmer shades. I don't like this gold shimmer shade. I do like the purpley one. I do not like the Soy Latte cream shade. I don't feel like that is a good shade at all. The mattes have a considerable amount of fallout, but I believe that's pretty typical for the Sephora collection formula. Overall, it's a good $7 palette. It probably probably would be a good $10 palette, but this is not one that you need to run out and buy unless you are a coffee fiend and love coffee themed things like I do. The last thing that I picked up during the Sephora sale is the Marc Jacobs at Lash'd mini mascara. This was an impulse buy. I had wanted this mascara, but I didn't want to pay full price for it, and then Marc Jacobs was 30% off, plus the 20% was stackable on top of it. So this was around $7 for the mini mascara, and I was totally fine with that. But now with Marc Jacobs doing whatever they're doing, everything is 50% off right now as it is. So I probably could have waited to pick this up. I am enjoying this mascara. I don't think that it's one that's really stood out to me against some of the other mascaras that I'm using at the moment, but I've been really into brown mascara lately, so that might be also why I'm not gravitating towards this one, because I do like how it looks on the lashes. It's just not what I'm looking for when I'm putting mascara on these days. Overall, I'm not super sure that I would repurchase this. It's definitely good for the price point that it's at right now, and if you wanted to check it out, now would be the time to do it, especially because there's talks about how Kendo isn't renewing the contract with Marc Jacobs, or Marc Jacobs isn't renewing the contract with Kendo. Either way, the formula is not staying with Marc Jacobs, and wherever Marc Jacobs is going to have a different formula of their items, so now's the time to buy, I guess. It's not much of a ringing endorsement, but I'm not really sure how to recommend or not recommend things that are going on with Marc Jacobs right now because of where the company stands. So there's that. Anyway, those are all the products that I picked up during the Sephora sale and my thoughts on them so far. Let me know down below, what did you pick up during the sale and what do you think of the items that you bought? Because I would love to know what other people bought and how their items are going, or what you think of the items that I picked up. Did you try any of these? Have you had other experiences? Or is there anything that I mentioned in the video that you'd like to see another video on, a more in-depth review on, or a tutorial using? I would love to know what kind of content you'd like to see because I would love to create it for you. That is all from me today. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any other videos you'd like to see from me, definitely let me know down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you again very soon in my next video.